से इजीली बात करते, तो ये भी हम लोग एक कोशिश कर रहे हैं और फास्ट ट्रैक में इसको लेके जाएंगे, स्पेशल प्रोसिक्यूटर देंगे, इसको कड़ी से कड़ी सजा होनी चाहिए।
लेकिन ये सबसे बड़ा सवाल ये है कि आखिरकार 12 घंटे क्यों लगे, क्योंकि एक ऑफिसर
Right, so that was Maharashtra Minister Deepak Kesarkar essentially saying that that it is a very shocking incident. But Radhika, if I can come back to you, essentially the minister also making a point that there was delay in a way, or it took some time for the police to actually find evidence or crack the case in a so to speak, because the CCTVs at the school were defunct. And he's also saying that he's going to take out a circular today asking all schools to ensure that the CCTVs are functioning. So very importantly there, the minister in a way also admitting that because of this lack or lapse on part of the school, there was some sort of a delay in the probe.
Certainly, that's what the CMO is also admitting, several within the government also admitting that there has been a lack of, proactiveness as far as the police is concerned. While the incident happened on 12th or 13th of August, it took a couple of days for the police to register the FIR. The school authorities did not come forward with the complaint. They have not taken any sort of responsibility or accountability as far as the negligence from their part is concerned. That is something that the government has admitted. Now, of course, a press statement also from the Chief Minister's office, in which it says that accused will be tried in fast-track court. Action will be taken against management of the institution if it is found that there has been a deliberate negligence from the part of the institute. Also saying that the Chief Minister has discussed this entire case with the Commissioner of Police in Thane, and concrete measures will be taken so that such incidents are prevented. Also suggesting setting up of complaint boxes and other systems to be brought in place so that if students have any doubts, they should immediately point out to the school administration. Also that management should immediately talk to teachers and take appropriate care. Yes, this is what the press release from the CMO says, that these are the actions they will take and this is what the school is expected to do. But this very, very tragic, disturbing incident unfolding in Thane, post which outraged parents have now taken to the streets. What we are seeing is violent protest that has taken place, leading to lathi charge as well. Parents extremely angry with what has transpired. 2 4-year-old children allegedly sexually assaulted by a staffer from a school. This incident happening inside the school premises in a toilet, which is very, very disturbing. All this coming post Kolkata incident where once again it was a female doctor who was raped and murdered in her workplace. Something similar happening here where 2 kids, 2 toddlers being sexually assaulted in a school where they were studying at. So this is extremely serious and also puts a question mark on the school administration. Already parents have been saying that the school is not coming forward, not taking responsibility of what has happened. In fact, there had been not a single female staffer in the school at the time. They've not hired any female staffer. It was a male cleaning staffer who did this, who committed this crime. So therefore, a lot of questions being raised by, angry parents at this point. We'll have to wait and see what kind of statement the school administration will give out, but no accountability as such, from the school. However, the protest that we're seeing on our screens is only turning violent by the minute.
Right. Radhika, they're reporting on this case coming in from Thane, a very gruesome and a very shocking case once again at a time when we are talking about women's safety, crime against women. In this case, of course, involving an incident involving 2 little children in Thane next to Mumbai. Radhika, there. We'll keep coming back to you for more. For the moment, we are going into another breaking news coming in, and that is on the lateral entry controversy. Now, there seems to be a government U-turn where the union minister has in fact written to the UPSC chief. Jitendra Singh has in fact written to UPSC asking for cancelling the lateral entry ad. Remember, this comes in just days after the UPSC had advertised 45 posts for lateral entry. And now there seems to be a government U-turn in that respect. Let me go across to my colleague Sunil for more on this. Sunil, what has exactly changed in the past 24 hours? Yesterday we saw the government, several ministers as well as government spokespersons, BJP spokespersons, beg your pardon, who were defending this lateral entry scheme as well as the UPSC advertisement. So what's happened in the last 24 hours which has led to this?
Well, as you're well aware, the Prime Minister is the Cabinet Minister for the Department of Personnel and Training. He is, of course, assisted by the Minister of State, Mr. Jitendra Singh. And it's in that context that Mr. Jitendra Singh has written a letter to the UPSC chairperson, very categorically. It's a letter where he's citing various instances of lateral entry that have taken place. But the sum and substance for our viewers is that the government of India has decided to request the UPSC to withdraw the advertisement of the lateral entry that it has put out because it does not follow social justice. And as they say, to use the words of Mr. Jitendra Singh very clearly, he says very categorically that the Prime Minister is of the firm belief that the process of lateral entry must be aligned with the principles of equity and social justice enshrined in our Constitution, particularly concerning the provisions of reservation. Having said that, now the Prime Minister, who is the minister in charge of this ministry, has decided to ask the UPSC to hold those appointments or the recruitment process for lateral entry, because what has been pointed out by the opposition, which is being seen as a big victory, cutting across party lines, including allies of the NDA, that lateral entry must follow the norms of social justice. That is, that there should be 15% for scheduled castes, 7.5% for scheduled tribe, for OBCs. They cannot be left out even if it is lateral entry. And it's in that context that the government will study, review this entire matter,
right,
and then take a call. So they've asked the UPSC chairperson to keep it on hold.
Right. Sunil, thank you so much. Stay with us. I'm also joined on the phone line by NDTV Senior Managing Editor Nikunj Garg. Nikunj, we can see that this is, yesterday the government and government spokespersons were defending the lateral entry scheme. Today they have in fact virtually done a U-turn. So this is yet another example of the BJP giving in to the pressure of coalition politics.
Well, Tanima, it's not so straightforward. I would say that keeping in mind the quantum of the appointments, remember it's 45 joint secretaries that we are talking. It's a very large number. And joint secretaries in the government of India are at the cutting edge level of governance. Principally, all the policy decisions are driven by the joint secretaries. Principally, the fact is that any new initiative, any policy decision, any kind of government initiative, the driver for that is the joint secretary's desk. Now, if you are going to have a situation where you're going to have nearly 4 dozen joint secretaries in various ministries, including some very sensitive ministries like Ministry of IT and Technology, sans any kind of reservation as alleged by the opposition, I am still not clear and I am not going to take any position on that. But sans any reservation, then obviously it's going to become a big issue. Currently, in any case, caste census, reservation, and increasing the quotas under reservation is a very big political debate, and more often than not, BJP has been found on the back foot in this debate. And opposition has consistently taken a position and mounted on that position. Now, what has happened is that yesterday, government's own allies like LJP came out very categorically in support of the opposition demand and against the government's move of putting these posts under the lateral entry quota. technically the government can say that, there's an arm's length between the UPSC, which is the Union Public Service Commission, which is an independent body under the Constitution. Actually, it's a body predating Constitution, but under the Constitution, there is a proviso for the UPSC as well. And the government is different. However, what the larger rubric of the administrative structure will see it as UPSC acting only on the government's direction. So quite clearly, under the ally pressure and the pressure that has been mounted from the opposition, in which they have been fairly successful, many neutral observers would say, in trying to paint that BJP is somehow taking away, snatching quotas, or is wanting to decimate quotas, or is wanting to build quotas within quotas, which is not suitable to the existing classes. So that is the narrative that is a matter of worry for the BJP. And they have time and again, their own people have come on record and said in Maharashtra, in Uttar Pradesh, that opposition has been able to build that narrative successfully. And that is why we have lost political ground, and politically we have lost. Now, they do not obviously, like any political party or any governing political party, they do not wish to lose any more political ground than that. And since there is an ally pressure, and since there is a consistent narrative and position taken by the opposition, government has now decided to do away with this latest move of its. And at least for now, this has been put on hold, which would mean that it has been kept in abeyance. Now, whether in the future government will again go ahead with the lateral entry scheme and move on it, or it has been kept in abeyance for permanent, we don't know currently. Or if it is only a tweak that they will bring in, or this entire scheme would completely be scrapped, and the usual method of employment of joint secretaries, which is through the central staffing scheme, and then the promotions from the director level to the joint secretary level will be the only method that will be followed by the government henceforth, is still not clear. But quite clearly, under pressure from allies and under pressure from the opposition, the government has certainly taken a step back in trying to put its house in order as far as anti-quota narrative sticking to BJP and the NDTV government, if you wish to call it an NDTV government, is concerned. Thane.
Right. Nikunj, thank you so much for joining us. With that, I'm also joined by my colleague Vasudha for more on this. But we are also highlighting the portion of the letter there on your screen, which has been written by Jitendra Singh to the UPSC. If I can read out a certain portion where he says that under earlier governments, as Nikunj was also pointing out, that this is an important part in the letter, where Jitendra Singh says that under earlier governments, there have been posts given to lateral entrants without following any process of reservations. Further, it is well known that the members of the National Advisory Council used to run a super bureaucracy that controlled the Prime Minister's office. But Jitendra Singh goes on to highlight that the Honorable Prime Minister is of the firm belief that the process of lateral entry has to be aligned with the principles of equity and social justice enshrined in our Constitution, particularly concerning the provisions of reservation. Vasudha, if I can come to you now, we had in fact posed this question repeatedly to the BJP spokespersons as well, but in a way they were skirting the issue about reservations within lateral entry, because this had been a point which had not just been raised by the Congress yesterday, but a point which had been raised by the National Minorities Commission also a couple of years back, in 2021 to be precise for that matter, that whether or not there should be a provision of reservations within the lateral entry scheme as well. And as Nikunj was also pointing out, that we do not know at this point in time whether or not the government is mulling to tweak the lateral entry scheme, give it up altogether, or what exactly is the next course of action. This letter is particularly specifically regarding these 45 posts that the UPSC had recently advertised about. So the letter is specific or limited only to that for the moment, but what is the next course of action that the government is mulling over? That is also, of course, something which is intriguing at this point in time. Let me bring in my colleague Vasudha now. Vasudha, so in the past 24 hours, something has changed, because we saw very emphatic defense coming in from the government and the ministers yesterday, and now this.
Absolutely, Tanima. In the last 24 hours, like you pointed out, the government did come up with a narrative that starting with Sam Pitroda to Nandan Nilekani, it's the UPA government that brought in this, tradition of having lateral entrance, but it's the BJP government that has streamlined it and given it a sense of reform. But of course, that's not really something that is sticking with the opposition, and this is something that the government is very worried about because, like Nikunj was also saying, when it comes to the Lok Sabha election results of 2024, be it Maharashtra or Uttar Pradesh, one thing that, according to senior experts, has really impacted the BJP's results is this narrative that the BJP is against SC/ST reservations, also OBC reservation. So, which is why you may remember that even in the case of the Supreme Court making some very critical observations regarding the creamy layer or subcategorization of OBCs, BJP MPs from SC/STs did come out and make their position very clear that even the government is not very keen on the creamy layer concept. So this is one area where the BJP does not want to take a chance. When it comes to lateral entries, 45 positions were advertised by UPSC. That is a huge number, including directors, deputy directors, and joint secretaries. These are senior positions in the bureaucracy. So clearly, it wouldn't have taken much time for a narrative to actually pick momentum, especially if the opposition wanted it. And it seemed like the opposition was at it because from Rahul Gandhi to Mallikarjun Kharge, senior leaders of the Congress had started speaking. This has been, the center of their campaign, regarding caste census, and also most importantly, the fact that they want to show the government as discriminatory when it comes to SC/ST and OBC reservations. So this is the government, the Modi government, taking this big move under the pressure of its own opposition, in its own allies, including the JDU and the LJP, but also making it clear that it does not want any wrong sentiment to go on ground, especially when Maharashtra is all set to vote, Haryana is all set to vote. So this is more of a political move than a move of reform. It's just going, and we've seen that in the case of the broadcasting bill as well. So this is a new government in place. We've not seen this happen very often in Modi 2.0 and in the first regime. We have only seen that in the case of land acquisition bill, which was too early for the Modi government to take those decisions. But of course, in the case of farm laws, where the Prime Minister came and said this. And today, if you look at the letter itself, Jitendra Singh makes it very clear that it's the Prime Minister who put in place social justice, and the government will completely oblige with the constitutional mandate and will not alter, will not really tweak any kind of reservation policy. So that's assurance that the government has given with this move to the SC/ST population.
Right, Vasudha, as you rightly mentioned, that this is a very rare occasion when we have seen the government actually making such a move just a day after, this issue has been raised by the opposition, and where we have seen BJP spokespersons and the ministers also defending the scheme. But besides what the Congress has in fact raised, take us through the kind of objections that BJP's own allies, key NDA voices, have in fact raised about this particular scheme, and the fact that there's no provision of reservation in it. And in fact, whether we credit it to the allies' pressure or not, there are of course other reasons which have been listed in that letter. But there has clearly been concerted voices which have come in from the allies, which in a way must have been taken into account when the government has taken this decision. As you said, it's more of a political decision.
Absolutely. If you look at JDU's KC Tyagi, who made it very clear that, the position of the JDU is to ask the centre to take a review of these advertisements. And if you look at Chirag Paswan, who has 5 MPs, he also made it very clear that social justice has to be the centre of any appointment in the government. So while the government kept saying that, this is about merit and this is about, bringing in reforms and ensuring that, that there is, technocracy, that there are expedited measures, moves in the government to ensure progress and development. That narrative was not sticking because social justice, Tanima, is the reality of this country. The focus on social justice, every party seems to be doing that. BJP cannot really try to sort of take a different stand, especially at a position at a time like this when it has 240 MPs of its own, but still is not really the most, it doesn't have the magic number of 272. It is dependent on its allies. TDP, of course, with 16 MPs, the most important constituent of NDA, did welcome this and said that, the government did the right thing by bringing in domain join experts and all that. But clearly, the pressure of the allies was important. But what the opposition said was very important, because Rahul Gandhi did put forward this very important post that, it is one way of sidestepping reservation policy and ensuring that, RSS-aligned people come into the system. So that, is something that, that's a narrative that really caught on with people's imagination, according to experts, in 2024 elections, which is why the BJP was reduced, was reduced in huge numbers in Maharashtra and UP, and that is something that the government does not want a repeat of, especially before the assembly polls in Jharkhand, Haryana and Maharashtra.
Right. Vasudha there, thank you so much for joining us. We'll of course keep coming back to you for more, and this big breaking update that we are bringing for our viewers right now about the centre having a rethink about these advertisements which have been put out with regards to lateral entry into civil services. For the moment, we'll head into a short break. Stay with us.